Shevchenko, in Mazepa, in Skovrada, and a lot of other fantastic Ukrainians to come back, but not to Ukraine, to America, right? A country which is very, very specifically needed. And Americans, not just for your taxpayer dollars, but those too, right? Without those, we don't have guns and ammunition. But the most important thing, your love for Ukraine, your love for freedom. I have 50 stops all over America, right? Every day. That's a lot. I lose my voice sometimes. I try not to. But the idea is to get the word out, the Kobzar word, the spirit of Ukraine, and to convince Americans that it's worthwhile to support Ukraine. This isn't politics and religion. This is culture and spirit. And although my microphone has died, I have another microphone, so I'm well prepared. This is called the Kobzar. If anybody's heard the term Kobzar, the Kobzars are those who played the Kobza. Not just, there were also a lot of other things. But this first song is the original Ukrainian anthem, right? Not Shen of Metal Ukraina, right? That in Ukraine, glory and will has not died. It's not even Boże Veliki Yedini, right? God, the only God. This is from the Middle Ages. It's called Snami Bog in Tsarkovny Slavyansky. It's not Russian, right? Make no mistake. And written by a Jewish man, the prophet Isaiah. God is with us. He understands languages. Listen to him, because God is with us. And usually this is a Christmas carol, right? Snami Bog. But when Cossacks sing Snami Bog, they mean that when we go on the battlefield, that we do everything correctly. Out of love, we defend our country, not out of hate. We control our anger. Bo Snami Bog. So middle age, spiritually training music, and pieces which I specifically brought into our repertoire now, because this is a song used towards philosophy. This is the prophecy, which is needed on the front, and other places which can help equally. Right? You don't need to be a fighter on the front of a gun to ask God to do things you can't do. Right? Does anybody do the angels? I do. Driving a wheel, that's how I stay alive. I have to. This instrument is called the torban. Even people in the diaspora who may have heard of the kobza, certainly in the bandura, they've seen the modern bandura. This is the torban. Has anybody ever seen this instrument, just out of curiosity? Bob, okay, Bob. We sang John the Revelator in England, London. That was I didn't have my turban then, but of course. So. Anybody know Bob Bradford? Fantastic folklorist musician. Thanks for coming, Bob. Okay, I'm sorry. But Bob knows everything. He knows, and he's been with our movement with Julian and Roman Turovsky. Anybody hear of Roman Turovsky? Oh, is Roman Turovsky here? Turovsky in Astoria. Okay. This guy has been writing music for the turban for since I lived in Astoria. That's been 20 years, 25 years, without having a turban himself, and really no turban players. So very interesting fellow, fantastic reconstructions, or kind of speculative historic reconstructions for the turban. Someday I'll play some of his compositions, but it's a Baroque lute, right? And an instrument, not a folk instrument. It's made to play very difficult works, which suddenly I will not play. I actually played for the German emigres in, where was this today? I forget, just up north, an hour and a half. I'll remember it. But I played them some Weiss. It sounded terrible, so I won't torch you. But play some Ukrainian songs. The first torbanist we regard had been Mazeppa. Anybody hear of Mazeppa? Raise your hand. Okay, a lot of Europeans wrote lots of poetry about him because he was the free, democratically elected leader, the last democratically successful Cossack leader of the Cossack period, 1700, or shortly thereafter, the Battle of Poltava, one of the wars which decided the fate of Europe, because the freest part of Europe became under Peter the Not-So-Great, as we say in Ukraine, as I say. Some people say it's great. But just imagine, had Mazeppa been able to come to New York before the Spring Offensive and to rally Americans, right, in the home of the free, the land of the brave, and Ukrainians who have wanted to see a free Ukraine for many generations, like my grandparents and parents. And Mazeppa can come because he left us his word, his truth, his Duma. It's not the epic Duma, it's not Duma Moje Dume, it's what we call the historic song. And what does he say? This is old Baroque language, right? He was a torbanist, he wrote poetry. He says, Ukrainians, let's not screw this one up again. We screwed up the Battle of Poltava. We fought amongst ourselves. This time, we'll get it right. We're going to pull together as a team, East and West, right? We're going to support Zelensky. He says what needs to be said. He does what needs to be done. He gets what needs to be gotten. He says, Ukraine, what happened during the Battle of Poltava we let them divide us and conquer us. Many Ukrainians went to Poland for money. Other people sat under the couch. Not even on the couch watching the TV, they sat under the couch and waited for the Cossacks to come save them, right? Volunteer spirit, are you crazy? Let the Cossacks do it. And the worst type of Ukrainians, those who hate Ukraine, the traitors, the diversanti, the zradniki. So let's get together, let's not let it happen again. He says, I myself as a hetman, I can't do everything. But today, in St. George's, Святий Юрий, as we say, I'm going to have my truth. And maybe people will listen that it's time to pull together as a team in the name of faith, in the name of freedom. It's worth it to lay down your life for your country. Ukraine, your mother has given you so much. If you only knew what will happen in the future as a world leader, which we've waited many years for this. So Duma het Mazeppa, about 1700, and he ends saying, we have a right to bear arms. And we ask the question, wait a second, Putin has nuclear bombs. How can we compete with those? And I say, we have secret weapons, such as the Ukrainian nuclear turban. You see the emblem? I don't make this stuff up. This is actually reconstruction from 1800, but very powerful stuff, the truth.
Покою щиро прагнуть, а не в єдин гуж сі тягнуть. Той направо, той наліво, а все браття, то діво. Той направо, той наліво, а все браття, то діво. Нема ж любві, нема ж згоді, от жовтої взявши воді. През незгоду всі пропали, самі себе своювали. Ну це колись. Ей, братища, пора знати, що не всім нам панувати, не всім дано все є знати і речами керувати. На корабель поглядімо, много людей полічимо, однак стірник сам керує, весь корабель управує. Чулка бідна матку має і одної послухає. Жалься, Боже, Україні, що не вкупі маєш сини. Єдин живе із погане, криче всюди, атамане. Іди матки ратувати, не дай мой погибати. Другим ляхом за грош служить, по в країні той тужить. Мати моя, старенькая, чом ти вельми слабенькая, розно тебе розшарпали, где пожні портуркам дали. Все то фортель, щоб слабіла, і аж кінець сил не вміла. Третій Москві юж голдує, їй вірнею слугує, той на матку нарікає і недолю проклинає. Ліпше було не родити, ніж в таких бідах жити. От всіх сторон ворогують, окне мечем руїнують. От всіх нема зичливості, ані слушної учтивості. Мужиками називають, а подданством дорікають. Чом ти, братов, не учила, чом от себе їх пустила? Ліпше було пробувати, вкупі лихо одбувати. Я сам бідний не здолаю, хіба тільки сьогодні Святого Юрія заволаю. Ей, панове генерали, чому ж єсте так оспали, і ви, панство полковники, безні жодні політики. О, змітеся всі за руки, не допустіть горкої муки, матці свої больш терпіти, нуте врагов, нуте біти. Самопали набивайте, острий щабель добувайте, а за віру хоч умріте, і вольностей бороніте. Нехай вічна буде слава, що при шаблі маєм права. Нехай вічна буде слава, що при шаблі маєм права.
Дякую, дякую.
So you can tell I play very serious songs because these are the songs which I love. But when the bomb started, you know, a year and a month or two ago, I realized I was ready, right? In this repertoire, which during peaceful times, it seems very, very sad, very serious, very minor tonality. And we're in America, right? You know, what war? We like to hear major tonality, really happy songs, right? But again, these are songs of defense. They were created for today and created to spread the spirit like no other news channel or journalist. The Kobzars were journalists, but they spread the spiritual truth of Ukraine. We've been everywhere, several times along the front, to the hottest territories. We almost even made it to Bakhmut. Konstantinovka, it's about 10 kilometers away, on Den Sobornosti. We were thinking, where are we going to Kobzar today? Maybe the Inozemny Battalion, right, where foreigners are fighting for Ukraine. Maybe in the Georgian restaurant in Kramatorsk. They didn't want us. I said, no, we don't know what you're into, but you know, we have a business to run. So finally, as we were getting gasoline, going back to Slovyansk, where we were staying that night, my student Tatiana says, maybe we should have a Kobzar session in the gas station. And I said, okay, you know, all the military stopped there. It was certainly very strange for them, you know, in the night outside of Bakhmut to see these instruments. Somebody said, oh, are you selling these? I said, no. But this was the Kobzar technology. You don't wait for people to come to your concert. You go to them and you play them and you tell them what they need to hear, whether they like it or not, specifically if they don't want to hear it. Because the Kobzar tradition is for everybody. Even if Vladimir Putin, the Antichrist, was here today, I would know specifically the song to play for him. But I'll do that later on the bandura. But we had an interesting invitation in Bucha, right when the borders opened, right when the Moscow horde fled or were destroyed. We had a chance to, an invitation to a parish, a church in Bucha. But who's going to church in Bucha? Certainly there's some people who lived through the massacre, the torture, the genocide. But we realized that it was time for a Kobzar funeral because the bodies were collected so the dogs wouldn't eat them into a mass grave. And I thought, wow, are we ready for this? I hope we are. And I didn't have a really terrible feeling. You can imagine being in Babin Yar or some other mass, you know, place of a massacre. And I decided to play for the souls John Dowland. Are there any John Dowland fans? Who likes early music? Fantastic. You're in the right place. And I always thought this was a lullaby, but it's a funeral lullaby. And the idea is to rest in peace. And as I sang the song, and sang as the sun, my heavenly eyes, the sun comes out, and came to realize this is a funeral lullaby of John Dowland, 1600, English Renaissance. Her eyes don't see the sun because she's underground, right? And fantastic kind of mystical moments which kind of convinced me that this is the song for us to also have peace. Why did those people die in Bucha? Why did God let that happen? I think it's for the world to see who we're dealing with and for the world to never let these things happen again. For Ukrainians, for who was it a surprise, the Moscow Blitzkrieg? Was it a surprise for anybody? Our family's been waiting 10 years for it to happen. And when it happened, we were ready. I evacuated my family. They made it to the States. My youngest daughter was born. She's not even a Ukrainian citizen. We're working on that. They say, we have no responsibility. She was born in America. I said, but we fled. You fled a week before the Blitzkrieg. How could you have known? Turn on the TV, right? Well, not in Ukraine. So, to rest in peace, the people in Bucha died, but do we believe in death? We believe in resurrection, right? Christos voskres. Ukraina voskres, right? And nechai ці мучники, ті, хто не дали, були їхній дім. Нехай вони прямо до Бога, їхня мука вже скінчилася. Вони платили великі ціни за нашу свободу. But let it happen again. That's the moral. So, John Dowland, you understand English?
Sad fountains, what need you flow so fast? Look how the snowy mountains heaven's sun doth gently waste. But my sons, heavenly eyes, view not your weeping, that now lie sleeping, that now lie sleeping, softly, softly, now softly lies sleeping. Sleep is a reconciling, a rest that peace begets. Doth not the sunrise smiling when fair at heaven he sets? Rest you now, rest, sad eyes, melt not in weeping, while they lie sleeping, while they lie sleeping, softly, softly, now softly lie sleeping. So rest in peace. Vichna Pamyat, don't forget. When we say Vichna Pamyat, don't let it happen again, right? Never forget. Those who forgot the genocide in 32, right? Those who denied the genocide, who couldn't deal with it. History repeats itself for those folks. People who called Putin their father. People who liked Putin. People who supported Putin. People who trusted their children with Putin. They paid the price for their stupidity. They should have opened their eyes. It took a war. It took destruction of their villages. Don't let it happen again. And help us take their territory back. Can you imagine, living in a country and at some point, the idea that you have to pack up and go and you may never see your country, right? My grandparents had that situation. You had that situation. Were you born in Ukraine, or you were born in Ukraine, right? Народилися в Україні. tak? No, so I understand, you know, my grandparents, my great-grandfather who fought with Petlura, who at some point he said to his family, you go to Switzerland, I'm staying back. I have my own mission. My grandfather who went to Eastern Europe, Yuri Fedinski, talking about law and American law system and possibly being poisoned by KGB at the Fourchette after one of these. It's a theory. We don't really know. Some people don't tell, you know, the truth. Maybe it's better not to know. But isn't it nice to know that we have in our generation the possibility to go home, and not just go home, but fight and win? So I want to congratulate you. A lot of people don't realize we've already had a fantastic victory already, right? We have a country called Ukraine. And thanks Ukrainians, thanks non-Ukrainians who support Ukraine. Had we not had the money and the guns and the real support, it's not the money and guns. You wouldn't have given the guns and the money had you not supported Ukraine, right? It's the love for Ukraine. So congratulations. We have a little bit more to go. So that's the Torban. I'll kind of save my voice by playing on these instruments. With the microphone. So I mentioned that had the Antichrist Putin been here, what would I sing to him? And as I said, the Kobzar tradition is for everybody, for Russians, for, you know, angry dictators. And I know exactly what I would sing to Putin. One of the central songs in the Kobzar repertoire, the hymn about the truth and the lie, or those who tell the truth and those who lie, right? I sing that today we have a world, and I'm talking about the Russian world, Ruski mir, a world where that which is called the truth is really a lie. And this isn't just Putin's time, this was Stalin's time, right? For that reason they were killed, because they sang songs of morality, of God, of truth, of justice. And we have a new time, a new age, when you can't even trust your brother, right? Some people say the Russians are not our brothers. There's different folks, right? I have friends in Russia, but even a lot of those folks, it's questionable now who their allegiance lies. And the last verse, and very important philosophy, who's afraid of Third World War and nuclear holocaust and the end of the planet? Of course, everybody, right? But remember, Putin is not God. God decides when the end of the world will come. Putin might like to hold the trigger of the nuclear arsenal, and Putin's problem, he thinks he's God. He has way too much money. He has way too many bombs. But pray to God it doesn't happen. God can defuse the bomb, right? As in Sochi in the Olympics. You know the 5 Olympic rings? What happened? Nothing happened. And the same thing will happen. But pray to God, volunteer, do what you can. So, the count of the truth and the lie, those who tell the truth will be rewarded, eternal rewards, and those who fail will pay dearly.
тепер правда, правда вже померла, вже не правда, увесь світ зажерла. А хто тую правду буде поважати, тому сошле Господь з неба благодаті, бо сам Господь правда сокрушить неправду, сумір і торбіну, вознесе
Several more songs. One of the things we practice as people who practice the Kobzar tradition during the war is the idea of praying during war. Right? We have lots of situations, specifically on the front, where a wife invites me to go almost to Donetsk to be with her and practice tradition and sing for her husband, who is conscripted, a friend of mine, Vadim Kirpichenko from Pryatyn. And she says, Yuri, you know, maybe you can help out. He had 300 people in his battalion. Now they're down to 30. And he's still alive after 3 months. She says, maybe you can help. But she says, when you go to the, on the road to Donetsk, don't stop in the cities, they're under bombs. And I'm thinking, I might die. This woman, and if I did die, maybe she would be partially responsible, right? But just the fantastic feeling that she believes in my work. She knows I'm not going to die. I know I'm not going to die. Бо то йде під покрівля, Господь. Тим більше з Давидові подібні псалтирі, арфи, так звані кобзи. I don't think they can kill me. I'm not going to, take, zайві ризики, take too many chances. I probably do that. But when you have no fear, you can do anything. It doesn't debilitate you. So this is one of the songs I would have liked to sing. I just recently added it to my repertoire. And with your help, if you'd like to sing too, especially, folks in Dumka, right, alumni. This is a song which the Cossacks knew from the time of the Cossack Baroque, a cant to Diva Maria, right? She has a towel, right, or a rushnik, we say. This is to protect Ukraine. That's why she's here pictured, because Ukrainians, and especially the Cossacks, right, the Ukrainian volunteer freedom fighters, they prayed to Maria because they saw her very often as she appeared during the battle to save them. So I'll sing the verses, you sing the chorus. So I will sing. Роже сличная, дива чистая, вдячне пахнучая. And your part, in Ukrainian, for those of you who know, and even those who don't know. Poдай нам руку. Let's try it all together. Poдай нам руку, give us your hand. Не дай нам муку, don't let us suffer. Matko miloserdnaya, І всі разом. Подай нам руку, не дай нам муку, Матко милосердна. We'll give it a try. Give it a try. Fantastic. And we're comparing Mary to a flower, to a rose, to some other, to a lily, and also asking her, protect us, stand with us, to free us from this slavery.
you're going to St. George's, all your life maybe, or many years. Has anybody actually heard the Ukrainian church hymn about St. George? Raise your hand. Прошу? Про Георгия, про Святый Юрий. So very interesting hymn, probably pre-Renaissance. The rhythm is very interesting. But you've heard the story of St. George, right? You had a time when people didn't believe in God. They believed in the dragon. They paid tribute to him. They had a lottery. And everybody had to draw straws or stand in line, even the Tsar. And his daughter gets picked, the princess. She doesn't want to die. She prays to God. And who appears but Святый Юрий on the white horse with the spear. He kills the dragon, maybe in the forehead, maybe in the eye, and kills him for good. So let's celebrate the end of the Moscow Empire with the end of the Moscow dragon and help Russia become a democratic, free people, if they want it or if they don't. And the last question to St. George, you've done this fantastic thing for us, or for our warriors on the front. What do you want for defeating that Moscow snake? Would you like lots of money, some gold, some silver? And as our boys in the front say, you can't buy your life, right? You can't buy your way out of this life. And people who are ready to give their life as a gift to their brethren go straight to heaven. As St. George says, to have a good example, so that later on we will write stories of the legend of St. George. For that, I will slay the dragon. One more song, the Torban. I'm kind of going to wrap up. Thanks for your attention. Very interesting songs, lots of genres, but an interesting poetry from the Baroque era. Avram Hrebyanka, he was a Cossack, a polkovnik, and he wrote poetry on the herb, or the seal, of the Cossack estate, the Cossack with a gun, right? And writes some very beautiful poetry comparing the Cossacks, right, the freedom fighters, the volunteer freedom fighters, to the good pastor who protects his flock with a rather big stick. And other poetry, such as, we will not lay down on our ground for anybody, right? And especially the Moscow horde. And just telling about the Cossacks of the Baroque, the Cossack period, that they were very famous, right? Very well known for their bravery, for their spirit, as is today. And it's so nice to know, in a lot of these things, you know, we read about history. Who are the Cossacks? Who are the Kobzars? Who knows? You know, it was a long time ago. But when you look in the TV, we know very well. And for our work is the Kobzar Guild, it's also a question. Are we very authentic? I'm not blind, right? I didn't come here to fool you. Am I a traditional Kobzar? I don't know. I try to be. But a lot of things might change today, right? We have airplanes, I have eyes. Even though my eyesight is getting worse and worse every year. So, when I close my eyes, I am, you know, practically blind. So this is interesting research work to revive the Kobzar tradition during war and to see what we're really capable of. And it's been a fantastic joy, and I'm hoping that my students and my colleagues will also join me in this work. Honestly, I've had the best year of my life. You might say, how is that possible? I'll tell you why, because I wasn't sitting on the couch watching CNN. And when you get off the couch and volunteer and do something, right? Even watching the news is good. Some people turn the news off, say, it's not my problem. When you do something good, it doesn't matter where you live, right? It matters what you do, and the bombs become not so scary. Actually, when I hear the bombs, I feel good that I know that I'm in the place I need to be. And Putin wants me to be scared, right? That's why he's bombing me. But shouldn't Putin be scared? And they are scared. They're shaking in their boots. And I hope that during the spring offense, they all just pack up and go, like they did in Kharkiv, right? But again, get prepared now. Don't forget, don't lose attention. This is the most critical period because my friends are on the front, right? I know 4, that's not a lot, but they're increasing. A lot of the volunteers are no longer with us. Now we have conscripts. And hopefully these young'uns will fill the volunteers' boots and take their guns and fight for Ukraine. So, Войска Запорожські, воїн знаменитий.
Войска Запорозького, воїн знаменитий, вооружен бодрствует, отчизну хранити, а ще й врагов коїх не зрить пред собою, бо баче оружіє готово до бою, супостатів зупиня, хоч вони силі, забаганки їхні всі розбива огідні, бо тримають собі ціль предваряти злому, і не хоче підлягать на землі нікому. Діло має пастуха пільного такого, щоб от стада відганять вовка навісного. Войска за воїн знаменитий, вооружен бодрствует, отчизну хранитий.
So beautiful poetry, not modern poetry, from folks who knew who the Cossacks were, and now we know, right? I've seen the guys, you've seen them on TV, you've seen their effectiveness, and as Americans say, what is the secret to Ukraine? It's our spirit. There's something inside of us, the genes, but not just the genes. People know what Moscow occupation is like. The Soviet period was the worst of the worst, right? Outright genocide in 32, 33. Do we want to go through that again? And they're going through it again. For people who, let the Russian tanks in, the people who betrayed, or for, a bribe, let the tanks roll in. Svatohirsk Monastery, where the war started 10 years ago. For them, we have another genocide, right? Let's not let it happen again. Let's stop it now. That's our cause. Don't give Putin an inch, right? I don't say let's take back Kuban. I could, but I will propose a democratic referendum, right? And they can decide if they want to be with Ukraine, as traditionally they were, right? Cossack territory, or with Russia, or with anybody else. It's their decision, but not a sham referendum, right? We don't do this. So one last song. I'm probably going to lose my voice, but it's a fantastic sound, fantastic church. I don't think I've ever, in all my 6 years of Kobzaring, had such a better sound. And thank you. Basically, what I do, I build upon the spirit that's already there. The most central song of the Kobzar repertoire, the epos, right? The long. Who likes long, epic movies like Voldar Perston, like the Lord of the Rings? Any Lord of the Rings fans? Goodness, I'm a Tolkienist. I'll tell you the truth. But this is Christian philosophy, right? And some people say even prophetic philosophy, right? The Ring was really the bomb. And who has the bombs today? Not just America. And too many bombs in one hands. That's very corrupting power. The Duma is the epic song. You could compare it to the Odyssey of Homer, who wouldn't have just told the stories, but would have sang them with a lyre or a bandura made of tortoise shell in his sinews from the poor tortoise's legs. But which Duma? And this is not the longest Duma. It's only about 12 minutes. That's not a lot. And the question is, which Duma? On the bandura or the Kobzar? I'll tell you a little Kobzar. I think it's time for Paskalny Duma, right? We have lots of different themes with the epic songs. This is an Easter theme. Does anybody know what Pascha, as we say in Ukraine, or Easter means? Raise your hand, please. What does it mean, in your idea? I'm sorry? Bread? Ah, Pascha bread, yes. It's our Ukrainian Easter bread, the Pascha. That's one of the Pascha. You have an idea? Resurrection. Resurrection, yes. When Christ was resurrected, we say, Christos voskres, Christ is risen. Yes, and we say as Christians, we believe it did happen, right? But the true meaning of Pascha is not even the body of Christ, before Christ. Vyzvolenia, to be free of slavery. That's what the Jews were talking about when they decided to leave the super megapolis with the pyramids and skyscrapers or whatever they had in Egypt. And Moses said, it's time to go home. And what did they say? Go home, go where? To Ukraine? Are you crazy? You can't make money there. Putin will kill you. So I'm singing not about Moses. I'm singing about Marusia Boslavka. So the dialogue in the Duma is between Cossacks, 750. They're in a dungeon in Turkey. They lost the battle. They've been down there for 30 years, right? From 1991 to 2000, and 23. I'm kidding, kind of. But they haven't seen the light of day. And Marussia, a slave girl, she was captured in a raid of the Turks, taken back to the Sultan's palace. She's become maybe one of their wives. Maybe she's Roxolana. Well, here she's just a priest's daughter, Marussia Boslavka, Popivna Boslavka. So the dialogue is between Marussia and the Cossacks. And she asked them a very simple question. She says, do you know what day tomorrow is? These folks don't have calendars. They don't have a window to see the light. They say, we have no idea what day tomorrow is, right? She says, I know you don't know. I want to tell you. Today is Easter Saturday, and tomorrow, Easter Sunday. The big holiday, right? Den Velikden. And the Cossacks do not want to hear about Easter, right? They don't want to die and resurrect. They want to go home and resurrect Ukraine. Then when they die, then maybe they can resurrect. But they are fighters for Ukraine. That's what they do, right, on this earth. And they do it well to go to that next stage. So she says, I didn't come here to torture you, right, and taunt you and make you feel bad that you're in chains before Easter Sunday. I came to help you. I came to let my people go. So she steals the key, risking her life. It's very heroic. The Cossacks are going back home on Easter, getting ready to take back their country, defend their country. But the Cossacks ask Marussia, you're coming too, right? You don't like being a concubine. You know, go back home, you know, and join us. And she says, unfortunately, Ukraine, you crazy? Go back there. I have Persian rugs. Dorahime napitkame. But maybe she's Roxolana. Maybe she's decided is the most powerful Ukrainian woman in political history to defend Ukraine from Turkey. Maybe. It's a question. But she says that I have lost the Ukrainian cause. I don't want to go home. You Cossacks can go fight home. I'm staying in New York City. I'm kidding. I don't mean to give anybody a guilt trip. I went home, and I'm looking for other folks who would like to go home. Repatriation. It hasn't really started. Julian Haida, anybody know Julian Haida? There's several folks I've met in the diaspora who are considering it. Even Americans who are interested. They've gone to fight. Maybe they'd like to live in Ukraine. It's a very free place, right? You can't make a lot of money. Maybe at some point you will. But the cause, right? The fantastic possibility to fight and, you know, make sure World War III doesn't happen. That's an honor. That's what I like. And if anybody else would like to join me, give me your number. Let's go back to Ukraine. So, Duma pro Marussia Boslavka, and every Duma, these are like pritchi, they're like parables. They have a moral to the story. And we also pray at the end of this Duma for the end of the Moscow Empire, for Ukraine to finally be free, and for your attention for 12 minutes. That's a lot, especially with this archaic language and very strange Duma singing. So, Duma pro Marussia Boslavka, Paschalna Duma. And here we have 12 minutes of meditation to pray to God that Ukraine indeed becomes free and resurrects.
Добре, давай духами ной темниці пригощає. Ей, до козаків словами промовляє. Ей, козаки, ви бідні невольники. Чи ви знаєте, що в нашій землі християнській день за тепер? Як те козаки зачували, та дитку бранку Марусину славку по річах пізнавали. Кайдану не завращали, словами промовляли, сльозами умивали. Дитка бранка Маруся попиту по славку, хочемо ми знаєм, що в нашій землі християнській за тепера. Вже ми 30 літ тяжкі турецькі каторзі пробуваєм, та Божого світу ні сонця праведного не побачали. Ей, козаки, ви бідні невольники, землі християнські. Сьогодні Великодня субота, а завтра нас твій великий праздник рокові Великдень. Кайданами завращали, дівка бранка морську славку кляли, проклинали. Гей, дівка бранка, бодай би щастя долі не зазнала, що ти нам в той час всю правду сказала. Не проклинайте, о, як буде завтра ваш турецький вечетів ніщати, та ж буде найкручі доставати, тоді що до вас буду приходжати, вас на волю випущати. Ой, народовий праздник, на великий став ваш турецький вечетів ніщати, станівці вранці, славці ключі доставати. Гей, торічка бранка, добре давай до кам'яної темниці пригощає, залізні самі уникає, та усі козаків на волю випущати. І ще й словами промовляє. Гей, козаки, панове на рідній землі, хору християнський на ясні зорі, тихий воді край, веселий місту, мір хрещений на Україну. На усі гори минайте, на гордову слави минайте, отцю ненці вісточку подайте. Та нехай отець ненька великий статки майки не збуває, мене дівка бранка морську славку з неволі не викупляє. Бо я вже потурчилась, обусурменилась для розкоші нещасної, для лакомства проважчею. Ясні прощені на Україну. Однині і до віка даруй, Боже, нам многі літа.
Sorry. Wybacz, co ważne. Tільки гарний резонанс, але з мікрофону. My microphone broke today. I don't know why. It's maybe it was meant to be. I'm sorry? What age? It's 16. My aunt, Oksana Mashinsky, maybe you know Oksana. She was very active in the Women's League in Denver. She played the bandura. She went to see Julian Katasti for many years, maybe before I was born even. But at 16, she said, Yurko, you know, you're a musician, go to Emlenton. Go to Kobzarsky Sich, the bandura camp for the Ukrainian bandura chorus, and find Julian Katasti. And when I came to Emlenton, the second person I saw was Jules, and a very interesting, very mysterious person, if you know Jules, and somebody who I felt I'd maybe seen him before. And this became my teacher and my example. Jules the Kobzar, he lives here, you know, 136, I think, you know, 2nd Avenue. He's there now, if he gets home for rehearsal. And value Julian. You know, how can you be an American Kobzar? You know, how do you make money doing that? You don't make money, but you make a fantastic life and an excellent example. I'm doing the same thing or something similar. I don't do so much avant-garde these days. I'm much more interested in reconstructing the past, historic reconstructions. But I'm doing what he does in Ukraine. You might say, how is that possible? You don't make any money in Ukraine for 25 years. You have a family of 5. You live in a village in the Poltava region. You sing with babas of Dravo. Oi tam na hore, oi tam na krote. Like the Village Voices, like Mariana Sadowska. I learned that song with Mariana many years, with Bob. That's when we met first. And I went back to live with those babas. And not just sing, to plant potatoes, to gossip, to have a full life with the babas. My children, they don't have an American accent. They have a Poltava accent. They sing, Hey Tamza Maryami, Avisoke Hore. And other pieces. It's fantastic. I mean, it's an experimental life. Well, you might ask, how do I do it for free? And I've decided, with the Kobzar tradition, I don't ask anybody anything. Did I pay you any money, Father? No, not yet. Nor will I. I'll give you a free CD. But I don't charge anything. You might say, how can I have 50 concerts and do this? And I do it with volunteers, right? Volunteers like the girls with Razum and Yurko and Maria. Where is Maria? Is she here? Where's Maria? Oh, and Maria's friend. I forgot your name. Olena. They're both from Kharkiv, and Andrei Mancino. Andrei, if you're watching, Diaku, a fantastic artist. He also does kind of reconstructing Hoholovi themes and very cool stuff, and also, you know, the instruments, fantastic illustrations. So through volunteerism, that's how I do it. But also, I accept donations, and I hate to, you know, to even talk about it, because I don't like money, I'll tell you the truth. God keeps us usually at 0. We don't have debt, that's pretty good, right? But as I've been Kobzaring abroad for the past 6 years, I have a little bit to take home for my family. But this tour, I'm specifically raising funds for Ukrainian defense by 2 methods. The Cossacks and the Kobzars, right? The Cossacks are the Zbrojny Sil Ukraine, the army. I asked my friends what they need. And they all say we need drones, so I'll buy some drones in America where they're cheaper. Some
parishes in Walden. I was just recently in a commune, right? They said, we're pacifists, we don't believe in supporting army, but we would like you to give money to hospital. I know a military hospital near Zaporizhia, an old Mennonite building. I've been there, I know the folks there. It's not a problem. And I'm even collecting money from my own institution, right? I'll be very frank, I'll be very honest, because I have lots of students, we have festivals, we have camps, and we need lots of gasoline to be able to travel all over Ukraine and do what we do. So if you don't have a lot of money, don't give me anything. I didn't come for your money. I came for your soul. Right? As I said yesterday, that's kind of scary, isn't it? But it's true. But to help out, this is teaching, right? This is a prosviterski dialnist. It's not a show. It's not entertainment. Hopefully, it's entertaining. Donate. There's a box there, and the CDs are not for sale. I don't even sell those. I give them away. So take one home, share it with the kids. And all the other discs are on the internet for free download at Bandcamp, right? bandcamp.com, right? Yury Fedinski, like it's written on the CD, and you can download all the recordings. I'm very happy that people listen to this stuff. That's why we record them, not to make money. You don't make money doing that. But the main work, the main thing you've given me already, it's your attention, right? Your hearts, the love, the money. I mean, I don't believe in money. I've learned to believe in another power. Money comes when you do good work, right? You don't have to look for it. You shouldn't look for it, and you shouldn't do anything just for money. Everything you should do for love because you like it, or sometimes you have to convince yourself. Can you do this out of love? Even kill out of love. It's a hard philosophy. I've never killed anybody out of love, but I'm pretty sure that I tell the boys on the front, you defend your country, my country as well, as you see fit. I've been tempted to take the gun. I have Kosovak roots. I was saying, 20 years ago, they'll have to pry my cold dead fingers off my turban before I leave Ukraine. But I don't take the gun because I have my own atomic turbans in arsenal. And this is how we defend Ukraine. This is how the Kobzars did it. And this is how we will prevent World War III, with love, de-escalation. Now the guns and the money are important too, right? But the guns and the money are not bad. As Husserl says, they're neutral. It's the person who wields the gun and the money. If he does good things with them, then good results will be. Any other questions? Please, please. So I immediately liked it. we took, the guitar and robbed our parents' liquor cabinet and had it fantastic. Mamai, right? We had this bottle and hooked up. It was great. We had an alternate camp, but the language, the culture, being with diaspora. I lived in Raleigh, there was no diaspora there. When I lived in Ukraine and sang with Dumka, it's because I miss my grandmother. I miss the diaspora in general, not just my own age too. I loved it. But eventually, the question of what kind of musician. I play classical piano, I play jazz and contrabass, I play electric guitar. That's fantastic. But who will play these instruments? Right? The turban. There's one person in the world, another person. She's from Berlin. I convinced her father to quit making furniture and start making turbans. He gave her his first turban. So this is for me, right? And it's a hard instrument. I mean, if anybody plays Baroque music, are you a fan of Bach? The Bach cellos, the suites? I'm sorry? The gamba. Oh, he's a gamba. Why didn't you tell me earlier? We could have had a duet. We can have a duet now. Would you play a song with me? Can you play in C sharp minor? Oh, yes. One more song. You convinced me. It's very simple. It's very simple. Listen, you got to. What is your name, sir? I'm sorry? Sorry?
I'm too far. Please, take it. Does anybody know the digamba? The old digamba? It's like a cello, but much more cooler. Much more strings with frets. No, okay. We'll do one song anyway. One of my favorite tunes. I learned this in Catholic school in Raleigh. A Catholic hymn to Diva Maria. I learned it in English. The original is Latin. We will sing the chorus in Ukrainian. So my part. Hail, Holy Queen enthroned above, Slava Nebesny Цариця, чиє трон на небеса. А ваші відповідь, your response. Oh, Maria. Very simple, right? 4 notes. That's why we learn it in school. But in all European and Ukrainian crews, hymn. Hail, Mother of Mercy and of Love, Slava Matir Milosердя і Любов, і відповідь. Oh, Maria. Triumphally cherubim, sing with us, seraphim, heaven and earth resound the hymn. In your part. Slava, 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 Korolevi. Very simple. And the last verse. I'm sorry? Maria. First, O Maria, and then at the very end, Slava Korolevi. In the very last verse, Slava Ukraini. Hail, Holy Queen enthroned above, O Maria. Hail, Mother of Mercy and of Love, O Maria. Triumphally cherubim, sing with us, ye seraphim, heaven and earth resound the hymn. Slava, Slava, Slava Korolevi, our life, our sweetness here below. Oh, Maria, our hope in sorrow and in woe. Oh, Maria, triumphally cherubim, sing with us, ye seraphim, heaven and earth resound the hymn. Slava, Slava Korolevi, and when our last breath leaves us, oh Maria, show us thy Son Christ Jesus, oh Maria, triumphally cherubim, sing with us, ye seraphim, heaven and earth resound the hymn. Slava, Slava, Salve Regina Pueritum, O Maria, Solis Unicat Regium, O Maria, jubilate cherubim, exultate seraphim, consonate perpetim, Slava, Slava, Slava Korolevi, Mater misericordiae, O Maria, jubilate cherubim, exultate seraphim, consonate perpetim, Slava, Slava, Slava Korolevi, Slava, Slava, Slava Ukraini. Slava Ukraini. З нами Бог, і ми з ними. Так, ви дуже дякуємо, дякую Марії, і Олена, і Юрко, і всі, і Bob, good to see you again. Let's hang out afterwards. And also, take a CD home, and don't forget, the Spring of Fancy, it's coming up soon. Готуйся. Request. Absolutely. Прошу.
Okay. Yes. Так, так. Ага.
Ви вродилися і виростали в Америці.
Так, півжиття.
Півжиття. Тепер другу половину життя ви посвячуєте себе Україні. Ви там завели родину, ви маєте 5 дітей. Ви проводите чудову роботу по поширенні українського мистецтва, давнього кобзарського. Скажіть мені, але кажуть, що все можна вибрати в світі силу, вибрати не можна тільки батьківщину. То що фактично ви вважаєте своєю батьківщиною?
Ну, нема питання.
Америку чи Україну?
No, the question is, where is my home? Is it Ukraine or is it America? You know, wherever I lay my head will be my home tonight. I don't even know where. Would anybody like to take me home? Okay. Дякую. Ми поговоримо пізніше. But I want a Ukrainian family. Somebody told me, Yurko, I know how it happened. Your grandfather, Yurko Fedinський, said a prayer that somebody from the family would go back home. I'm not in Ukraine myself. My whole family's come back, right? I have roots. And in Ukraine, I've started to realize who are my ancestors, right? Cossacks, priests, statesmen, teachers, serious folks. And what a fantastic, legacy to live up to. And what a fantastic time to get to work, right? It's in our time. My grandfather tried, right? And certainly your ancestors, and certainly you yourselves have done what you could. And in New York, and when I sing Молитва Богославка, we need a New York Siege, and we have a New York Siege. We have churches, Ukrainian, we have kreditivkas, we have, centers. This is the New York Siege, right? Like my great-grandfather to the Dunayski Siege fled when he had to. So God bless your work in the New York Manhattansky Siege. And thanks for coming and listening, and thanks even more for volunteering and doing anything. Think about what you can do. Not only will you save Ukraine, but you'll feel good about yourself. And me, myself personally, when I evacuated my family, I thought maybe I should go too. I'm not going to let them take me alive. Putin has a hit list. I would take offense if I'm not on that hit list. We were talking with Compagnia Chenko. And the worst feeling I had during this year was leaving my home. The first 2 days, I packed up and went. When I ran out of gas, God led me back to Kiev. And when I went back to Kiev, you heard about the Devastation. I heard their plane. I stopped the car. I thought I'd blew a tire. It was a Russian plane carrying paratroopers. They were floating over our heads. Luckily, I got in the car and left. And I thought, what was that sound? The plane's gone on, I guess. So, don't flee. Ukraine is a victim. Putin needs to flee. So, Otec Presti Mirukavi, Stefan Yavorski, right? He was a friend of Mazepa. He knew Peter the Not So Great, an interesting philosophical Kant. For what should we have money, right? Because we all have to die sometime and can't take it with us. And let's hope that in our lives we don't waste them, right? When we could be doing good rather than doing other things like looking for money, looking for, self-glory. There's lots of things. I know we all need money, but again, do good things and you will make money. You won't make as much as you want, but maybe you don't need so much, right? God gives us exactly what we need. And being poor can be a blessing, really. So, the Cossack Baroque, Stefan Yavorski, Mirlukavi, The Sly World.
Mirlukavi, skormi spolneni, kol ti ne tverdi, kol ne soveršeni, kol sud ne blahi tvoji stiju tihi, kol sud plačevni, radosti smihi, kol nespokojni, Твої честь богатство, и твердим ничтоже се непостоянство. Світе тут в един час, в другий увядає, днес на престолі, завтра не спадає, завтра не спадає. Где есть гордяйся, Давид вопияє, все мимо іде, уже той не б'яше. Ниця нам сладкі твої злі забави, сластні знурені суд наші нрави, суд наші нрави.
Out of tune.
Що нам в багатстві, аж ще смерть царствує, він собирає, він же наслідствує. Що нам за польза от честі биває, єгда смерть рани весьма презирає, весьма презирає. Єдина бо мисль бідним да буде, як судія той день страшний прибуде. Спросять нас бідних, там скорі отвіта, пощо теряли сує наші літа, сує наші літа. Спросять нас бідних, там скорі отвіта, пощо теряли сує наші літа, сує наші літа. Іре лукаві, скормі сповнені, вольти не тверді, то не совершені.
So the world is very sly, be very careful, open your eyes. So дякую вам. Допоможи Україна. And if you'd like to make a donation, don't forget, so far in about 10 days I've collected $10,000. That's a lot of money, and bravo. So. And if you want to take a look at the instruments, now's your chance to even try to play, if any children like to try, or older people. And if anybody would like a photo also, maybe a group photo. It's not obligatory, but in this setting, listen, wow, this would be a fantastic. Would you do a group photo with me, Bob? Hurtovi photo? Давай. И с отцем, и с Maria, и Yolana, and everybody. Group photos are fantastic.
How long are you staying here?
Tomorrow's the last day.
Tomorrow?
And tomorrow there's a master class with the Village Voices, I think at like 6 or 7.
Here? Where is
not here. It's not in the school, I don't know where it is, but I can find out if you want to know. Oh, so the master class, what time is the master class and where is it?
From 6:30 to 8:30.
6:30?
Yeah, 440 Lafayette Street.
440 Lafayette Street. A master class. We'll sing some Ukrainian kanti, Mati Miloserdya, a little bit of a Duma. That'll be interesting. Snami Bog, which we heard, and maybe Oi Zishla Zorya Vecherovaya. So come by. Yes, tak. Vecherovaya.